You're listening to The Ryback Show. Feed me more.
Welcome to The Ryback Show live here on YouTube at Ryback TV, at Twitch at Ryback Rules. Thank you guys very much for joining me this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're at. First things first, paying the bills. This podcast is brought to you by Feed Me More Nutrition, available on feedmemore.com. Premium supplements, sweetened with stevia and monk fruit, no artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners, vegan-friendly formulas and capsules. Guys, check out, we have our Halloween $4,000 cash giveaway. That's right, guys. Feed Me More Nutrition. The big guy Ryback is giving one of you $4,000 on Halloween for simply trying the best supplements on the planet. All you got to do is go to feedmemore.com. Use the discount code Halloween 4,000 at the end of the checkout process. You get 20% off your order. You get an option for a free premium shaker bottle and workout towel, guys. And with each purchase, an automatic entry into the contest. It is completely random. The more purchases you make, the greater your chances are of winning. So check that out. Feed Me More Nutrition on feedmemore.com. Fuel Meals, personal meal prep service of myself. You could save 15% with discount code The Big Guy. Fuelmeals.com. Meal prep at your doorstep, guys. Chicken, steak, all sorts of different fish entrees, quesadillas, turkey burgers, sweet potato fries, brown rice, white rice, anything that your little heart desires, Fuel Meals has. So check them out, fuelmeals.com. Personal videos from yours truly, no matter what the occasion. Cameo.com/The Big Guy Ryback. WWE and Vince McMahon does not get a cut of the big guy's profits. Teespring, the official store for Feed Me More Nutrition. Feed Me More, The Big Guy Ryback. Teespring.com, the Feed Me More store. Go on over there. We got shirts, men, women, children. We got posters going up. We got Feed Me More Nutrition coffee mugs, Feed Me More Nutrition face mask, which I must say are the most comfortable face mask I've ever worn out of all the face masks. Not just saying it because it has my logo on it. The Teespring folks did a really good job on the mask over there. So check that out as well. My book, Wake Up, It's Feeding Time, available on Amazon and paperback, Audible, and Kindle formats. Friends of the show, Zevia, stevia sweetened, calorie-free soda, no artificial colors or sweeteners, guys. If you got a soda habit, you're drinking too much sugar, you're a little tubby Tommy, and you need to cut down on the sugar, the artificial sweeteners, check out Zevia, guys. Been a big fan of theirs for years and had a working relationship with them at multiple points, and can't say enough good things about them. The Farmer's Dog, real food for your pets. I switched Sophie and little guy to this stuff, guys, in the beginning of the year. The best investment I have made. Yes, it's more expensive than regular dog food, but it's also superior to regular dog food. The Farmer's Dog, you guys can follow them as well on social media, Instagram, Twitter, as well as Zevia. Trupanion, the pet insurance, the official pet insurance for Sophie and little guy. Trupanion, guys, has come through huge for me with Sophie, with all her ruptured disc in her back and now neck. And if you have a pet, regardless of whether you look at Trupanion or not, look at getting pet insurance, guys. But all I can tell you is from my experience with Trupanion, they have had Sophie's back literally and figuratively from the beginning. So thank you to Trupanion. Follow me at social media, guys, at Ryback Unverified on Twitter, because I changed the name from Ryback22 to Ryback. But we're hoping in the new year of 2021, the big guy can be verified once again on Twitter. The big guy Ryback22 on Instagram and TikTok. I am the Ryback Show, Feed Me More Nutrition, and Ryback TV on Instagram for some funny, informative, great entertainment over on those accounts. And Snapchat Ryback247. All right, guys, with that, good morning, good afternoon. I hope everyone's having a great day. I'm an update all of you with Sophie. They just called me. They called me yesterday. The neck surgery was successful. It went as great as it could have gone. There were no complications with her breathing or ruptured blood vessels, as they had to operate. As you know, with many neck injuries in humans, how they have to go through the front of the neck, the throat. Same thing, unfortunately with the little baby Sophie, and but she's a little trooper. She handled it as she always does, and there was a lot of disc material that was compressing on her spinal cord, and which we knew that from the MRI, but sometimes the medicine, the pain stuff can suppress that a little bit. Unfortunately, it didn't work. So they were able to go in there and clean that all out successfully, including a couple really, really big chunks that were really, really, really hurting her. And they said she's doing great today. She's clearly not in the pain that she was. And they're going to take her off her IV pain medications. And they're going to be here in the afternoon to hopefully bring her home later today. So great news on that. We're going to have another road to recovery for Sophie, but it will make me feel much better knowing she's not in pain, as I could see on this time when we had her home for the week, and we had to go day by day until yesterday when it was clearly that she was having severe complications once again. And but you can tell, it was hard seeing your own dog in pain. You're just trying to do what's best for them, but you're trying to avoid a surgery that could potentially have serious complications in that breed. So it was definitely a frustrating situation, but here we are. She's going to hopefully come home today after rupture number 8 and get the little baby back. I see a lot of comments. I have several things I do have down to talk about today with you guys. This show it's going to be definitely being more interactive with you guys and answering questions and talking about life as things come up. And I'll always have a couple things or a few things that I want to address on my own here on the Ryback Show live as we continue to grow and evolve the show. I actually got my toolbar fixed on my MacBook. I was able to go in and update that yesterday. And I also have a new, just for you guys listening for the audio, unfortunately, my podcast studio mics that are set up through the hard cam and the audio recorder don't link up to my laptop. So the sound is still fine, but I would prefer it to be better. I actually have a new mic coming in today. So for tomorrow's show, the audio and for the audio on the podcast should be significantly improved moving forward. And then when I have guests on the show that I have to record live, obviously we will not be using this format. I will go back to the old format on that. We have a super chat here we're going to get to from Byron Beyond TV. Sophie be like, I won the Olympics with a broken freaking neck. She is truly a miracle. She's a walking, talking miracle. And I'm going to pop that up there for you, bud, just so everyone can see it. I'm able to scroll and do a little better job on the questions here today. I get a lot of inspiration from Sophie because, I've gone through all my back injuries, which is I understand. And so it's been one of those things. We've gone through our injuries together. And I got her my last year in WWE with at the time, my ex-girlfriend. Or by the time my girlfriend, at this time, my ex-girlfriend. And she's just she was the cutest little, as I'm sure we all say about our dogs, right? But just such a loving, sweet animal. And it wasn't until around the 2-year mark that all of a sudden I got little guy and her back just went bad. And it was rupture after rupture. I've said it time and time again. I had to stop all wrestling appearances. I was able to kind of do a few early on. And then, because I thought it was going to be a one-time thing, I didn't realize that she had severe disc disease. And then it was when they told me that, they told me that early on, but you don't know that their discs are just going to keep rupturing. But what's happening is it's almost like she's just aging rapidly, but just has a bad spine where the disc are dehydrating. So the harder outer part of the disc is dehydrated, and that disc material in the middle, which that is then weaker, ruptures out with movement. Like her neck, she just unfortunately had a sneezing fit, and that was too much. So that scares me because she had a sneezing fit and her neck broke. Now, does she sneeze? that's only the second time I've ever seen her do that. I don't know what caused it, but you gotta, it's pretty stressful because, I'm afraid to leave because I've been here luckily with all of this, and the last time the mother was watching her, I had to rush home and grab her. She's shaking uncontrollably, have a blanket in the back seat, try to get her to lie down to get comfortable. She's terrified. She just has this look of terror on her face. And I have to drive all the way across town and then deal with getting her into the medical center, and which is a whole other issue on its own. You want to do is just get the best treatment for your dog. But it's stressful because I've stopped all appearances because the last thing I wanted to do was one, there was nowhere to take her. And now the situation's a little different with COVID going on, and the mother is home a lot more in her part of the house. So it gives me a little bit of a leeway on things. But before, when she was working, and I can't just take Sophie to the vet with her back. Like it's really, and because what happens is with other dogs, she gets really fidgety. And it's happened already taking her for a walk where she actually broke her back on a walk by getting worked up from just another person having their dog out. So you can understand that it's a really very controlled situation. So, and it's very limited on what you can do with that. So I just stopped everything. And luckily I have Feed Me More Nutrition and all my other business stuff I do here with the podcast and social media and Ryback TV. But I had to learn to get a lot better at this stuff really quickly because life was good with the wrestling and appearances. I was getting, very fortunate and blessed to be able to get the rate that I get on a lot of things. And, you cut that out, and did I have to cut that? No, I could have put my dog to sleep, but I think that wasn't the right thing to do. And and I've talked about it. That's why I get a little upset at times when I see people be like, nobody even wants to book him. He sucks. And one, they're clueless onto the entire situation of my health to begin with. And then two, they're clueless on the entire situation of Sophie and what I feel I'm doing the right thing, which is also benefiting me and allowing my body to heal to where I'm at the point now. Things are about to get really good again. So it can be a little frustrating at times when I see that. But it's just people that are not educated on the matter. Let's see here. We're taking a look at what was one of your worst injuries in WWE. Lego Duplo ask one of the worst injuries, the worst injury, and I had several. Was the ankle injury in Nexus in Hawaii, and it was one of those deals. Up to that point, I'd had one shoulder surgery from which I'd hurt my first year in developmental at Deep South Wrestling. And the way that the business was then in developmental, and Bill DeMott was a tough one. But there was no medical, there wasn't a trainer, there was nothing. And that's the way wrestling's always been behind the times in this, but this wasn't all that long ago. This is in 2005. So, a long time has from here when you say 15 years, but at the time, we were pretty involved in sports teams. The things were good in life in general. And Bill was really tough on me. And I'd hurt my shoulder on something in practice and in training, and anyone that was at Deep South Wrestling knows, and I don't have to elaborate too much on this. I hurt my shoulder though. And usually I wouldn't ever say anything, but I guess I showed that I was in pain. And then I got called into the middle of the ring and told to clothesline the class over and over and over again. And while the class was lined up around the ring and people had to keep feeding into the ring, and I had to keep clotheslining them over and over. Now, remind you, I had just hurt my shoulder. This is what proceeded. And when you clothesline people, you try to use your chest as much as possible. But when you have a shoulder injury, you're still pushing your arm forward. And I've always always felt I've had a solid clothesline, which has been one of my signature moves with the meat hook clothesline. And it tore my shoulder, and it did a lot of damage. And I didn't say anything, and I just continued training, and I never got the shoulder checked for probably 3 years. Until I got rehired by WWE. And at that point, I went to OVW, then got fired, and then got rehired, and then went down to Florida Championship Wrestling. and it was so bad. And it had like scarred over, which is why I have so much scar tissue in a lot of different areas now that we've broken up. And the shoulder, I needed to get a shoulder surgery at FCW. Me and Wade Barrett, that's how we kind of became good friends. We both kind of got injured at the same time. And he had a lat tear, and I had my shoulder. So we were rehabbing and around each other a lot, which is where we formed our bond, I believe, in developmental, that is carried on to this day. So that was my real first injury of having a surgery. And then shortly thereafter, with the Nexus and going to Hawaii, I got a new pair of boots made by Stagecoach at the time. And I was super pumped. They were the most expensive boots I'd bought up to this point in my wrestling career. And I, unfortunately, though, they were too narrow. They weren't as wide as they needed to be for my fat feet. And we were doing a tag match, me and David Otunga versus the Hart Dynasty, Tyson Kidd, and Harry Smith, which at the point, I believe we were kind of in, and things, plans change. Me and David, the game plan was that we were going to be fighting for the tag titles against them at the next pay-per-view, presumably winning with the way Nexus was supposed to go early on with us. And which, again, that all could have changed. There was plenty of time for that to change before that. But I took a drop kick on the hot tag. We were the bad guys, the heels for the match. And me and Tyson Kidd had this comeback. It was maybe a minute long comeback, maybe longer. And in which I was supposed to come running in and get drop kicked twice, but not go down on the drop kicks. Kind of do not the big guy stagger where they go over, but just not go down. Well, when I went running in and Tyson drop kicked me and I planted my left foot, it like rolled over as he kicked me, and it was nothing. He didn't do anything. It was on my end. Broke my ankle in 3 places instantly, like crack, crack, crack. Foot just dangling. I fall down weird in this weird way. I pop right back up. We do the entire comeback. I'm hobbling around with my leg like dangling. It spiral broke all the way up to my knee. Tyson finally, on a near fall, he goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "No." And we just keep going. We literally did the entire comeback without missing one spot. Got the near falls in. Tyson, the finish was a springboard off the top rope. I meat hook him off the springboard. Cover 1, 2, 3. I lay there, and the rest is kind of a blur. I remember getting brought to the back. I think they had to cut my boot off or get my boot off. I can't remember. No, they got my boot off, I think, normal. They had to cut my knee pads or something. I had the tight knee pads on. They couldn't even pull off. I remember Chris Jericho like coming in and looking really like man, just horrible timing. I remember that one thing with Chris for what a lot of people were coming in and be like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And I just remember Chris was like, because he saw what we had and he told us the opportunity that we had, how it was a one lifetime thing. And I just remember just thinking like, well, this is it. This is the worst injury that you could have. My leg was broken all the way up to my knee, my foot just dangling. And by finishing the match and running on it, that the fracture just kept spiral going all the way up my leg. That was bad. I remember I had to go to the hospital. They had to drug me up. They had to break everything. They had to put my ankle back into place. Cast everything up, send me on a flight we were supposed to go from, we were in Hawaii, by the way, in Hawaii. Supposed to go from Hawaii to Japan the next day. I wasn't going anywhere. I probably shouldn't, I wasn't, health-wise, should never have probably been allowed to get on a plane. I'm very lucky. I'm extremely lucky I didn't lose my leg or die. They flew me, and I couldn't even get a direct. I had to fly to Dallas, have wheelchair assistance, sit at the airport for hours because there was nothing, I guess, quick. Get to Tampa, had a car pick me up, bring me home. I am living by myself in Tampa. I did all of this on my own. and I didn't want any help. I was so pissed and angry at a lot of things, that the timing of all of it. And my ankle swelled up, my foot swelled up. I got blisters everywhere from the swelling. It was, I thought there was real risk of losing from the knee down when I had that. And this is what caused the ruined relationship with me in WWE forever, which a lot of people just have not, they don't get, and it's fine. I went through it, so I understand it fully. A lot of mistakes were made with that. The medical was nowhere near what it is now. If it was, it would never would have happened. But at the same time, I'm grateful for the way everything worked out, because it made me who I am today, even though I still have my big toe doesn't work completely, and which we're working on going and getting that fixed at BioAccelerator with the nerve rejuvenation that they're able to inject in the nerves down there, which has a great success rate. That was my worst, most traumatic injury ever, though, to answer your question. And it forever is what I believe why we saw the stuff with Ryback play out the way that it did on TV, which was never, it was all from a bunch of backstage stuff that happened with my ankle injury. And then them like firing me while I was hurt, me having to get attorneys, keeping my job, and then telling them I'm moving home. Like, this is all real stuff. Like, really, and imagine Hunter. And again, these guys, I put myself in their shoes and how I would react to something, but I'm also at a level where if I mess up, I know I mess up and I'll make it right, which he didn't. And that's fine. He handles stuff differently than I process stuff differently. But I had to talk to him in a way like I talk when I get angry. And, did he directly do anything to me? No, but he was the one, he was overseeing a lot of it. And he took over actually in the middle of all this shit show. So, but there was there was instant trust issues then, and some stuff he had said to me early on. He came in, and just to give you guys, I grew up loving Hunter and being really inspired by him and his working out. And I didn't know he was doing steroids at the time. I was young, and I just thought, oh man, he's training hard, and which he was training hard, no doubt. And everyone was, and I say everyone, the majority of those guys were doing it then. But at the time, I was just kind of a clueless young person finding myself, and I worked out like crazy. But it was really inspirational, the working out. And I'd go to the gym for hours on end. I was a fan of his, wrestling-wise, the whole deal. And he came up to me, and when you get in the business, so that stuff goes out the window. It should, because it's business, and you grow up quick. But this forced me to really grow up even quicker, where he came up to me, and I was in there doing my rehab, and it'd been a lot. I'd have to drive like 3 hours to shows to go to rehab because the trainer at the time didn't want to come to the building to do his job. Like, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. I'll do whatever I know I have to do to keep. I'm driving with my foot out the window, guys. 3 hours to a developmental show that I'm not even supposed to be going to. This is why I had the anger that I had of how they reacted to things, because I was doing everything in my power to try to get better, and I wasn't being reciprocated on their end. And Hunter came up to me one day and he goes, well, eventually we're going to have to cut the plug. And forever right there, that fucked everything up with me and Hunter right then and there. I can't forgive him for that, forever saying that. And it will forever have a fire inside of me, because it makes me angry because of the kid in me who looked up to this guy, and then you're doing everything you can and he tells you that. So my tone changed with him completely, and forever. There's nothing, he could say sorry all day long. Cool, sorry, let's move on, but you don't forget. And with Vince and everything, there was no trust anymore. And then they did try to fire me, and I had to go get the attorneys, and it was a really, really bad deal. And I had my malpractice lawsuit against the doctor that he botched the surgery. They sent me to a doctor that got sued 10 times in 5 years. Long story short. That's what I woke up from the surgery. They had all this nerve damage. I was getting electrocuted. They just put me on pain meds. They kept me there. They kept putting pain medicine and injecting me with morphine for days. And then finally they sent me home. It took 3 surgeries to finally have the metal taken out, which I told everyone I wanted all the metal taken out. The guy had put 2 screws through my superficial and perineal nerve and my leg, which caused all the damage I have now. So anyways, we had a lawsuit against me. I had a lawsuit against the doctor, which was an open and shut case. We had the doctor that fixed my leg, who unfortunately is now dead, who got killed in a car accident. But at the time he was alive, who was willing to testify on what he did, on how he corrected the problems as far as taking it out. WWE, when I got put in the main event, called me, Jane Geddes, which I have the phone call recorded. I've had it recorded the entire time. I knew things had already been bad enough, and I knew when I talked to them on the phone, I had to be prepared at all times, which is why I've gotten away with a lot of the things I have, is I have a lot of stuff on them that I keep in my pocket for when I absolutely need it. And Jane told me off the record, she goes, Ryan, because that was my legal name at the time. She goes, she threatened my job. She said that if I wanted to stay with WWE and wanted to stay in good standing, if I wanted to keep my main event run that had just started going, and if I wanted to be working with the company, I had to drop the lawsuit, multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Now, remind you guys at the time, and I've made no money at this point in WWE. Like, it was just getting ready to. And so I'm sitting there, and I go, I knew I'm playing with the devil, but I took a chance thinking, well, we have some serious momentum going on right now. I'm going to make some money. The payoff should be, if I just trust them and do what they ask me to do, this will kind of put an end to all the strain we had on our relationship before, because I'm letting go of all this money that has nothing to do with them. It's multi-million-dollar open and shut case. I drop it. My attorneys pleaded like me, do not do this. Do not do this. You cannot trust this company. And well, what do you want me to do? I get the chance. This is everything I've worked for. I'm put in this situation. My opportunity, maybe they will trust me even more, literally doing this for them. Wasn't the case. The moment that the statute of limitations ran up, which was like a month later, we had it till the very end, the time that we had, that's when they started toying with me. And that's where the creative stuff started happening, where a lot of people were scratching their heads. It had nothing to do with what was going on actually out there. It was all from these incidents. I firmly believe. And now it was, and I wasn't going to be in that inner circle ever because of that. So, and I knew then, and I knew this is going on. And then it turned into, well, I need to make as much money as I can, because I don't know how long I'm going to be able to wrestle with this ankle injury. Like I was never supposed to come back. 3 doctors told me I would never wrestle again, which is in itself was a tremendous, thing for me to come back from. And then unfortunately, with the back injury, the perineal nerve runs directly into the L4, L5, which were the first 2 discs in my back that started getting worn out really, really quickly. Again, now the certain moves I was doing, the backpack stunner in particular, was causing the compression on my disc. But it was at a rate that we should not have seen. Like, that should have been something that maybe in my 40s or 50s, I was in that, now at 34 years old. And so, and part of that, it was because of the ankle, and it's all connected. The shoulder, that was it from the surgery before. WWE was giving me cortisone in that, which ate away everything. That caused all my shoulder problems. My shoulder just had scar tissue, which again, I wish I would have known what I know now about, therapy and scar tissue removal and how that's supported. And it's something I can't stress enough to athletes and people, that scar tissue is our biggest hindrance. Range of motion and things, you can stretch all you want and do these other things. If you got scar tissue that is binding down the way the mechanics of the shoulder, the muscles are supposed to move, you must attack that and break that up first before you can start doing these other things. And that's what I've learned. And it surprises me, a lot of people, even people that are far superior to me education-wise on the mechanics of the body, the scar tissue to me is the number one step, the first step, because you can do all the rehab exercises in the world. If you have scar tissue that is causing your shoulder to move different, you will always have inflammation in it because the shoulder is not moving properly. And that's something, it took me years to learn this. But so those were the injuries, anyways, to answer your question in a very long-winded format here. But the shoulder, it was definitely was part of it. But those were the ankle into the back, which the back was, I was told when I left WWE, when I walked out, and again, the reason too, guys, and a lot of people think like creatively, I wasn't happy, but I always had the mindset, I always worked harder. Go back and look at me during the Ryback period. It's probably my body just kept improving when I was there. And a lot of people, if you ever watch them when they get de-pushed, they usually let their physiques go. Not me. I got in better shape because I know what I'm working for, and I don't let that affect my life and my pride with that. But it was, you know, with the back, people, like I said, they thought it was a creative thing in the contract, and that was just a small part of it. I needed to go. I was in so much pain, and like I couldn't lie down on the trainer's table without my back going spazzing out. And they just kept giving me pain meds, and I'm like, I need MRIs. And I tried going to Hunter on multiple times, and I'm at the time I look back, I didn't communicate good enough. But I also, because my pride was getting in the way, because I didn't want to go to them and say, like, I'm really, really fucked up. I need to figure this out. I kept telling Hunter I was hurt, and he didn't know what I meant. I go, I'm hurt. And I kept trying to tell him while we were arguing about other things. And he's like, well, are you hurt or you're not hurt? And I'm like, I don't know, because I didn't know what was wrong with me. And like, I was hoping somebody was, because I didn't want to take myself out, because I didn't want to, you don't want to look like a pussy or anything. And so I just kept going. Give me the drugs, I keep going. And it was a really stressful situation, because I was hoping somebody there would be like, let's get this guy MRIs. And then that would kind of give me a pass on it wasn't me that took myself out. And if you're in the business, you know what I'm talking about. You just keep going, because you don't want to ever look like I'm hurt, unless it's absolutely like the injury happens in the ring and you can't go. You just keep going. It's just the way that it is. And I was getting frustrated that I couldn't communicate that in a clearer way. And so that's where it made it, I knew I had to get out of there. And when I did, even then I didn't get MRIs right away. I was like, well, I'll let my body heal on its own, which it never did. It went the other way. It got way worse, because then I didn't have them giving me the Toradol and cortisone anymore. And then the cortisone effects really kicked in the moment after I left, which would have happened there. My shoulder just got eaten away. Muscles atrophied instantly, nerve damage. All the cartilage was gone in my joint. I mean, all of it. Just chaos. And they told me when I left that when I finally went to multiple doctors, they told me the same thing. They go, you need a 5-disc fusion and a shoulder replacement at 34 years old. So it was the best decision I ever made to leave, because that was what allowed me to realize, okay, I can't get that done, because that's game over. Let's look into stem cells and see if we can't regenerate the body over time. And which, thank God, we were able to regrow all 5 discs. I've had 16 stem cell procedures on my back and shoulder, and one of my nerves in my leg here as of recently. And I'm BioAccelerator. We just finished the paperwork. We can't speak highly enough about BioAccelerator. Them bringing me down to Colombia, and in Medellin, Colombia, is where I really felt for the first time I'm going to be able to come back to wrestling, because this stuff has been years now of doing this, over 3 years. And the treatments over there are so much more powerful than everything else in the world. And man, whenever I see anybody that say like stem cell therapy, it's just literally supernatural. It's your body's own healing power, especially here using your own bone marrow. And over there, they're using the freshly grown umbilical cord stem cells and it's not from dead babies or anything like that. It's just allowing it's superhuman natural healing powers that is better than going for, again, a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement. And here I am, nearly all better. And it's taken a long time, and I still feel like I feel better than I have even in my 20s. And I feel like my best years are ahead of me, but those were the injuries, and why things are the way that they are, that a lot of people don't understand. I work morning to night, man. What do I enjoy doing in my spare work? I have so much fun. This is one of the things I want to talk about, which I'm going to do on this comment here. Karate Kid YT says, what do you do? What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? And I love the stuff that I do right now, and building my brand and Feed Me More Nutrition, social media, and Ryback TV, and now adding in video games and Twitch. Like, it's crazy. But using and learning about the power of branding and being an entrepreneur and making money morning to night through Feed Me More Nutrition. And everything I do is essentially a sales funnel. Even this show, this is a sales funnel for Feed Me More Nutrition. So like in Ryback TV, this is one of the things I wanted to talk about and with you guys is there's, and again, the feedback on Ryback TV is overwhelmingly positive. If you go look at the comments, it's nearly everybody very, very supportive and loving. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody that goes, man, this guy fell hard. This guy went from being a superstar to doing his own videos in his car. And I'll say, cool, if that's how you view it. That's somebody that doesn't understand the game of life and what is actually going on. One, doesn't understand my story either, but doesn't truly understand the power of social media and YouTube and the amount of money that actually generates on its own, not counting the sales funnel for Feed Me More Nutrition. Two, we all eat. We all eat food all the time. It actually takes work and effort to set up a camera, to record your food and actually be able to be entertaining or have a conversation by yourself time and time and time again, and actually keep people coming back and growing. Very, very, that is not an easy thing that everyone can just all of a sudden say, I'm going to go do that. So you have those people like that. And the point of that is there's always going to be haters out there and people that want to stop you from doing what you want to do. The key is, and this is always the thing, why this stuff will never, ever bother me or stop me. And I like to explain it to people is I know what I'm working for. I know what my end goal is. I know what I'm building. I've explained the sales funnels and everything. So if, little Billy in Little Rock, Arkansas thinks that the big guy is a loser and fell hard for eating a vegan sandwich in his vehicle, after a 3-hour workout. Okay. Because what the game is what I'm building is wealth without doing anything, essentially, through my business, in which I say not doing anything. I mean, just at all times of the day. Whereas, we got orders coming in now while I'm doing this show. I'm working, right? That's the same as if you go work for another person for 8 hours. I'm doing my stuff and generating revenue through that. And they don't understand the power of that and how that is actually an unlimited thing. And that the more content I push out and the more I could build a connection with my fans and followers, it builds and it builds. And sometimes you don't see the results right away. And then in 10 years, all of a sudden everyone's like, man, that guy's so lucky. Man, but they didn't see the other nine years of just killing yourself and growing and building and trying different things. And the point of this is, guys, if you want to do something, all you got to know, you just got to know why you're doing it. And you got to do it, because people are going to try to take you away from that. They're going to try to talk you out of it. People make those comments to try to maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I am a loser. God, what are people going to think about me if, people are using my Zoom video eating Ruffles chips, which was introducing me to a whole new audience. But now people are making memes out of that, which is getting me even more exposure from simply just doing something that was part of my business anyways. Man, maybe I should stop all this because I don't want people thinking that nobody would ever do anything great in life at that. So the key is you got to know what you want. I know what I'm working for. I know what I'm building for. And I know how everything is figured in to that. Why? Because I do nothing but read and learn about business. And I've learned from some of the absolute best multimillionaires, guys who are approaching billionaire status. Some of them already there. I've seen the game plan. And all I know, I understand it. And I go, well, I just got to execute that in my own way. So if little Billy in Little Rock wants to say that, he could say that. We're going to hide him. We're going to let him still watch my content. We're going to monetize his views. We're going to let him think that he's playing a part of this channel with his negativity, but nobody sees it outside of that quick that he got. And I keep working towards what I'm working towards. And that's what we're doing. So don't ever let anybody stop you from doing what you want to do, because I promise you there's an endless supply of them. Life is a bucket of crabs, and they're always trying to pull everyone back in. If you get out, then they link up, and there's a big group of them that are trying to pull you back in. It's impossible if you know what you want and you know why you're doing what you're doing. And that's what I want you guys to understand. That's why I'm so big on empowering other people and the message of love and positivity, while not taking any bullshit from anybody. I believe that is truly the best way to be, because I believe if you don't know where to put your foot down, eventually it could have negative repercussions for you. And we've seen that in the history of time through some great people, that you got to be able to put your foot and stop the hate and negativity from others and things. But at the same time, you got to want to build and empower people and give them the blueprint, because everything I've learned is from people passing on knowledge and me wanting to learn that knowledge. And that's what I want for you guys. I want to spark something in your brain. You're like, well, this guy's doing what he wants. Man, I want to be able to do what I want. What do I want to do? I want to start getting your brains working. And you guys, man, I love video games. I always wanted to be a video game writer, but I don't know where to start. Well, maybe there's something I could say that can get that first step going, where you got to figure out what you want to do and how you're going to do it. You've always wanted to work out, but you keep making excuses. You just literally start. You just start. Start with 20 push-ups a day. You start with 1 push-up a day. You start with 1 crunch, with 1 Hindu squat. Well, I don't know how to do that. You can Google it now. You can do anything if you want it bad enough. And there's experts all over now. There's a lot of misinformation as well, but there's easy way to get the right information out there. Thank you guys all for joining me here on the Ryback Show Live. I actually got a new shaker bottle here. I'm not drinking out of my Feed Me More Nutrition shaker bottle. This is actually, we're improving. We're going to a thicker bottle on the next round. So I just got the sample in. Of course, it's this sweet teal color. But what I do is I test it out I do a 3-day test, the big guy's 3-day test. And I will use this shaker bottle over and over and over for 3 days to make sure it meets my specifications on what I want in a shaker bottle. And then we will have these being mass produced in the colors for Feed Me More Nutrition. And those will be available probably by the end of the year. And I got to get it. We got to order a lot of them. So what is my great question here by Deceive? And guys, your super chats are always encouraged with the WWE Ryback trademark lawsuit. All super chats will be going to my attorney. What is your opinion about MJF and AEW? I really like MJF. I'm entertained by him, and that's the whole point of wrestling. And sorry I bounced a lot of here, guys, also on the thing. I got to be very careful for the people watching. I'm a big guy, and I have a habit of rocking all the time. And if I hit my hands on this desk, this is a thing, but I got the laptop propped up on a laptop holder to get a better angle for the background. So I got to be careful. The camera, just like the big Chris Farley guy, fat man in a little coat. I got to learn to control my energy a little better. But I'm a big fan of everything he's doing, and I'm very entertained by him. And I appreciate how he stays in character in a lot of the things that he does. And he genuinely, comes off as an asshole, which I think is the best thing ever. So big fan of MJF. No, I do not hate Indian fans. I love all my fans. Phoenix Marie is doing very well. We are going to get her back on as a guest here eventually, very soon on this show. How do you... Little guy is missing, Sophie. Thank you very much. Yes. We're going to go. Ryback is in great shape. I didn't mean to pull that up, but thank you. I'm looking at the comments here. I do want to also address... there was a question, how did I come up with the Shell Shock Extreme, not Fat Burner, the Shell Shock name for my finisher? And when I was coming back as Ryback, I had a lot of time to think about who I wanted Ryback to be, and getting things that I wanted to eventually get over with the audience. That was in Shell Shock. I always was a big fan of the Ninja Turtles growing up. That was one of my favorite cartoons. And obviously the term Shell Shock from there. And I go, Shell Shock. That's the perfect name for a finisher. And then it also means battle fatigue, like in war, going to war. And that, to me, it was more so the meaning for it. It was one, it had a place in my heart as a kid and how I always loved that word. So I knew kids would be drawn to that word already because I was. Then, obviously, the real meaning, with the battle fatigue and when you're going to war. And so for that in a wrestling format, that's the perfect name for a finisher, in my opinion, and when your opponent, you leave them shell shocked. And so that was the psychology behind that. And in everything that I did, I eventually, the finish it, I was always a big fan of Razor Ramon before he'd call for the Razor's Edge. that was always the thing. Austin, when he would flip a guy out before the stunner, I always felt you want to let the audience in. There's a great opportunity before you do a finishing move or to go for a finishing move to allow the audience in an opportunity to be a part of the finish. And so that was where I initially said finish him. And I go, well, I can't do that because that's from Mortal Kombat. And I go, let's go to finish it just to make it my own. Right. So that was the psychology behind that and wanting to come up where the crowd, every time I'll do it, the entire crowd will usually say, finish it with me on it. And it's because you're letting them in. It's a moment. And that's where character development and having personality, you got to know the right times and the right places, because that stuff will actually always, in my opinion, always outdo the flippity flips that don't have meaning, unless they do it in the spot that really has meaning. And that's how you can go out there and do basics exceptionally well and learn where to put your mannerisms in character and actually have everything mean more and allow the audience to participate in the matches and into the action of breaks sometimes. Looking at the questions here, guys, I also want to talk about, let's see if there's another good question here. We have a lot of comments today. I do got my Twitch going. I am Ryback Rules on Twitch for everybody listening. That guy with India really think I hate India. I do not hate India. I love India. It's, but with that, guys, I do want to talk about, we've already talked about it, then overcoming negativity and just haters in general. And for the things that you want to do in life, don't stop. That's the best piece of advice I can give you. I do want to address also, I saw Jim Cornette and I don't know if he's being paid by WWE. Jim has met me, I think, once and was really nice. So I don't understand sometimes. Well, I do. I understand he plays a character in a way, but he also doesn't. And I don't know if he's paid by WWE still because he's worked with them in the past on things. But he always, when he can take a shot, he likes to on things. And it's usually on uneducated opinion over something that it's not the correct information he's even responding to. But I just like guys like that, you got to just like, it can go back and forth forever. There's going to come a point though where eventually, if he's in the wrestling business, and I'm going back, there's going to be a time where you're going to meet the person you talk about. And I just think you got to be careful in life. And this isn't like directed directly at Jim and that, but like for people online, you got to conduct yourself in a way that you're okay, that if you say something about somebody, you're okay when you see them in person. And, it's a major problem we got going on with social media where people think they can say stuff. And then you got to be really careful in this day and age. The world is a dangerous place, and you say the wrong thing about the wrong person. And especially when you're making up lies, and you got to be careful. It's not, it's unnecessary. And I wish Jim has a great wrestling mind on a lot of things. And it sucks when that's one thing with people too, and I've heard, he goes off on everyone, right? And that's fine if he doesn't ever want to but you gotta, I'm a big believer in empowering people. It's like, well, if you really love wrestling so much, why don't you want to be a part of the business and help educate the younger generation and help pass on some of the old school psychology rather than making fun of everybody? And little Jimmy was young once, right? Jim Cornette didn't understand the wrestling business to the level that he probably did in his prime, or even still maybe does to a level today of certain things with the business, which I think he's very good on certain things that he talks about. He's not good when he has the guy reading opinions and dirt sheet things that they don't fact check. And then he comes in and spouts off, and, there's a right way to do things in a wrong way. And I just think, and it's just, he could be so much more beneficial to the business. But he likes to take personal attacks on people, or what he thinks, will get listens. And whether you're playing a character or not, I just think when you cross the line on certain things, you got to be, there's a way to do things in the right way and a wrong way. but I wish him the best because it's a never ending thing with the guy. And he likes to think, if he thinks I'm very uneducated on the business, I would say, I've been in the business my entire adult life and actually been able to do it, something he never could do. So I think that right there separates the two of us. I would rather listen to a guy who's actually capable, of closing out main events on the biggest stage for a part of his career than, a guy that never could do it. And that's just my opinion. And like I said, I think he has a good mind on certain things, but it would be better if he would want to empower the younger generation rather than take away from it. My opinion, but I love the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. He's one of my favorite people. I'm looking at questions. Thank you very much. Always a lot of love and positivity from you guys in here, and I greatly appreciate that. If you could wrestle anybody, past or present, who would it be? And man, there's so many guys out there right now that I'm gonna bring this question up next. The Kenny Omega and me, I think, would be have a great chemistry together. I think Cody's on top of his game right now. I think there's big money in that being visited down the line. Obviously, Jericho. I'd put out, on his 30 years in the business, he's my favorite top guy that I worked with, and just more so in the ring and also how he conducted himself, passing on knowledge and wanting to truly, genuinely help. I thought was very appreciative of that, and that's why I'm a fan of what he's doing today and helping give back to the business while still keeping himself on top, which is not easy to do. And we haven't seen a lot of guys. If you look at the history of the business, how many guys have you seen actually? Chris doesn't need to keep wrestling anymore either. I don't think people, and this again, I'm just speculating, but I'm assuming based off of he's done well for himself. With Fozzy and books don't make a ton of money, but books could make money. But he's written numerous bestsellers, great wrestling books, great books that usually once guys and they get to the top of the business or they're there for a period, they get out, or Chris stays very active and keeps going. And he keeps finding ways to be entertaining, and he understands that working, in you know when to give and know when to take. That you haven't seen like a lot of guys do that. You never saw, I've seen people talk about like when Hogan went to WCW, like how they're doing this is entirely different. And Chris is smart enough to realize, and he's actually improving his legacy, what he's doing, rather than he just went in and said, I'm only going to work with a select group of guys I go over all the time. And we're just, he's doing this in a very creative, good way while their roster is getting built up, which he's played a big part of that. And he single-handedly was the one signing Moxley too, coming over. But Chris, had the longer legacy, and Dean Moxley was much newer in the business as far as name value wise, even though I do believe he's a big star and will continue to be. I think Chris put it all on the line making that jump, and it came at a perfect time. So it's, and this is just looking in from someone who's been in the business his entire adult life and grew up liking it and watching it and loving it and watching it. I think it's really, we're going to look back at this period many years from now and see just how valuable he truly, truly was to helping the future of the business evolve. And that's where I kind of talk about, Cornette. And I always got to remember this too. And what I know now, and, when I first got in, I didn't know anything what I know now, near the level of what I do. And it takes time, and it takes people learning the business and passing knowledge down, and then going out there and actually applying it in your own way and learning and getting your own experience and finding a way to fine tune things, learning about the business, understanding different things. And the only way the young people can learn that is if people help them. And in which AEW is in a situation of having a lot of new people there, but they have a lot of the right people there helping passing down the information. So, but that's why I was talking about, like with guys, it's why I'm always for the talent. And like, I'll have things, of course, I don't like and things, but I always got to remind myself, there's a guy that's 22, 23, 24, 25, they happen to get on TV at a young age. As far as that, like, it's going to take time to learn the proper things that come with, not everyone learns them, and not everyone learns them at the same rate either. And then once it clicks really, but it doesn't click for everyone all the time. But that's my thoughts on that. I think we have another, Calvin Zhang says, I feel like you and Goldberg would have been a badass matchup. Absolutely. And I wanted it when I was there. And I was told by Hunter that I did not want to work him. And that's just straight up fact. So I never pressed the issue, and it wasn't, I had all my other stuff going on creatively anyways, where it was very frustrating on the start and stop and being kept at a high level, usually the majority of the time. But anytime getting momentum and having it taken away through creative was a really, really frustrating process for me. I got my dedication. How did I get my dedication level to its peak? I'm constantly improving that. That's why I'm so obsessed with the Feed Me More and being hungry. It's because we can either, we got this one life that we have here that we know of anyways. And we can sit back and distract ourselves and just survive the day with no direction. Or we could just figure out, what do I want to do in life? Do I want to feel alive? I want to feel better. And what happens is when you learn about love and empowering people, and that the more you're able to give back, that feeling becomes very addicting. And I learned that here over the years, and I keep learning it, which is why I give like $1 of every sale to feeding the homeless here with Feed Me More Nutrition. And I want to give more and more. And I want to eventually be able to give to an animal foundation for pets because I love dogs. I want to actually be able to build a new specialty center here in Vegas. It's one of my life goals is building the world's largest dog facility with everything. But Vegas, we need more here. And it's something, when you realize that if you have goals and you start doing things that you enjoy and you could profit off of them, and you have what you believe to be a good mind and heart, and you want to empower people and help people because you like that feeling and you're in control in a very positive, good way, it's like you just keep finding ways to keep being more and more dedicated, because then you feel like if you don't have that drive and desire, you're not making the world a better place. And it's not about being famous online, famous on TV. Guys, I got news for you guys. That does not mean jack shit. None of it. None of that. Being famous, and Jim Carrey said it best, is I wish everyone could experience being famous so you could realize it's not like the purpose of life. It was something in that vein. And it couldn't be any truer. And that's why I get more satisfaction being myself and people liking me for me, or if they want to hate me for being me, rather than liking me or hating me for me acting a fake part. Even though there could be real elements and the energy is real, but it's all entertainment. It's just like a movie, I would rather, though, people like me for me and actually helping you change your lives and have the dedication and the motivation to go what you want to go for. That to me it's always more rewarding. When I would do an appearance and somebody would come up to me after reading my book and say, I've lost 130 pounds and since I started just doing what you do. And I'm just like, Jesus, this person just changed their entire lives because I took a moment, I took the time to write a book. And there's been that time and time again. The supplements, the same thing. Your supplements solve this problem. I've never been able to sleep good. Your sleep aid, I sleep like a baby every night. Thank you so much. I don't know what I would do without it. Man, that's powerful stuff. And that's just because I'm being me, which is a really cool thing. So, and that's why I stress to you guys the power of learning that life is energy and food is energy. And I'm always going to hammer this home to you guys because it needs to be hammered home. It took me a long time to learn this, but if we could fix our energy through the food that we consume by improving our diet and stop eating the shit all the time, we're going to see a drastic increase in our energy levels. What happens when we have more energy? We have more motivation. When you have high energy, it is damn near impossible not to do anything. Now the issue comes when you have that energy, now you just got to figure out what you want. And, and you got to remember, guys, don't compare yourself to others. And there are times if I look at things and I see guys that I like and I'm doing what they're doing, but they're making, millions and millions of dollars and I'm doing the same thing. And I'm like, I'm not making that right now on this. Like, should I stop? Am I not doing it? No, I am doing it. I'm so happy. And that's how you get good at it. And that's how eventually, if you enjoy what you're doing and you're happy, which is a state of mind, then eventually all of a sudden, before you know it, you're in this position where that, like I said, people like that guy's lucky, man. That guy, he doesn't deserve that. That's awesome if you're getting that. And because you put in the work for it. So, but fix your energy, fix your food, fix your energy, and then we can start fixing other things. So you got to just break it down to the first step on that. But that's how I'm as dedicated as I am. And the more that I continue to improve and being vegan now, and I'm never going to stress to people like do what I do. I'm just telling you my experience in separating my micronutrients and my minerals away from my caffeine. My energy levels have never been higher. My conditioning is getting higher and higher than it's ever been because my blood flow, everything is improving over time from improving my diet more and more. And it's learning. And I don't look at studies. I look at them, but I do things for myself to see if it's working or not. So, but that's too, with Feed Me More Nutrition, why I'm so passionate about selling this stuff is because it works. It's changed. It's such a huge part of my life. And again, I'm not selling a miracle of that you could take something and then just sit around and not try. It goes in conjunction with doing the work and stuff. But, if you do suffer from fatigue, I'm always going to tell you got to look at your diet first, but the Wake Up Unlimited Energy, that can tremendously add so much value to your life on helping you have the energy to do the things to get you started. But you got to look at the diet at the end of the day and that. But that's to me, it's just dedication, man. It comes in stages and learning, and you start building some momentum. You start seeing results. You see the direct impact it's making on people, and it just makes you keep going. I couldn't imagine when I started podcasting, if you told me you're going to podcast, you're going to start going every day. You're going to talk multiple times a day on multiple platforms. Well, what am I going to talk about? At the time, what am I going to, it's so easy now. There's always something to talk about. There's so much experience and things from reading and listening to audiobooks and learning from top people and having what I've gone through in trials and tribulations and helping empower other people through my words that I get great satisfaction out of. So that is where the dedication comes from. Sir, let's see. Your opinion on social media pressure. And I'm looking at that. I'm trying to think of what you mean by that. Now, social media is so important. We're going to wrap up today's show with this, guys. Social media is the greatest thing in the world, and it's also can be the worst thing in the world. It comes down to balance. And here's the thing that I've stressed time and time again. We can elaborate more on this on tomorrow's show. You got to live in the real world. Social media is strictly, and if you have a business, and I have so much of my life is wrapped around in it, but I make sure that I'm constantly doing things in the real world and have real relationships. You have to build confidence, and the only way you do that is by living in the real world. Then social media is an outlet for entertainment and could be a nice little distraction, just as TV has been, as radio was, as movies are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, video games, but it has to be controlled. The problem is we have these glued to our hands the majority of the time. So what I'll tell you is make sure you do specific things in your day away from your phone to keep your brain positioned that you can do things without having your phone at all times. That has helped me tremendously. Examples of this are going for a walk with my dogs. I keep my phone on me in my pocket, shut off on silent, and I don't look at it, and I keep it on or on vibrate, but I walk that I don't look at it the entire time, 20, 30-minute walk. I leave my phone inside or outside if I go do my cold tub, hot tub, or my hot tub pool, on the couch, outside, or inside on the table. I don't look at it that entire time. I go do those activities for like 45 minutes to an hour. If I go upstairs to work, I oftentimes will leave my phone downstairs for a period of time, anywhere from 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour sometimes, just so I don't have the habit of looking at it, because I'm working constantly and doing things. So I have a real bad habit where people are always trying to get a hold of me too. I need breaks. You know, if you go out on a date or you go meet with friends, don't look at your phone the entire time. Get what you need to get done before, plan to get what you need to get done after. Condition your brain to take breaks away from your phone, because I promise you it's very powerful and it gives you some level of control. If you don't do that, it becomes very impulsive that you're going to constantly be on it. And we see it all the time with people. But social media is here to stay. We are advancing rapidly. If you watch, I highly recommend everybody watch the film Social Dilemma on Netflix. Very real issues going on in the world with advertising and things of the social media platforms, with the limiting engagement to make people pay to make them more billions of dollars. A lot of real issues we can go more in depth on another show. But you need to take breaks. You need to get away from it. Live in the real world as much as possible. Use it as your entertainment in select times, but don't let it overtake real life and real relationships. The moment you do that, it's game over. Can you come back from it? But it's a harder recovery. And this is in what the kids are being raised on this. It is a very real problem going on. And people also not understanding the facts from lies, not being able to distinguish. We have kids now growing up on this that think lies are truth. It's conditioned in their brain. They don't know the difference. So that's going to become a real problem. And we're already seeing it as people start getting older. So real world, real connections. Try to keep love and empathy and the thought of empowering other people in your head as much as possible, because it takes practice. And you'll be fine. We will be fine. I have to constantly do it. And sometimes, it's really easy to see negativity and hate online and to carry that out and then think that that's how everybody is. Everybody's not like that. And even if everybody was like that, why are we going to let it ruin us individually? We have control over ourselves. So that's where I always if you keep in your head, everybody that I meet today, I want to feel better for meeting me. I have to tell myself this all the time, because I get moments of rage and anger over things. And I've always, and anger's done me very well in my life, but I've learned to control it more and more, and I don't put up with shit. I don't put up with bullshit. And I'm the most respectful, loving human being. But if somebody does something to me, I don't put up with it. And I've had to learn, though, for situations online, not to let that carry over into the real world in my interactions with people, that if somebody comes up to me, not to just assume that they're a piece of shit, because then I'm putting that in my head, and they'll probably do something to confirm that, because I'll be looking for something to confirm that. Whereas if I just go into, I want to make everybody feel better for meeting me today, it changes your entire mindset, your entire day of how you live your life, because you're walking around in a positive state of mind with love in your heart, rather than letting anger carry over to everything else, if that makes sense. So, but social media, we can definitely go more in depth on that on another show. But guys, I thank you guys. We're going to wrap up today's show with that. We went a little long over the hour, but that's okay. And I thank you guys for listening. Again, Ryback TV on YouTube, and Ryback Rules on Twitch. And check out Feed Me More Nutrition, guys, on feedmemore.com. My $4,000 cash giveaway. Discount code Halloween4000. Feedmemore.com. Thank you very much for listening. You've just listened to The Ryback Show. Feed me more.